What if you could skip the wait and move into a luxury new construction home in Chatsworth right now? Imagine stepping into a Toll Brothers Hidden Oaks Sunstone Modern model quick move-in home that's already complete with over $390,000 in upgrades. From designer finishes to a sleek modern layout without waiting months to build from scratch. This is luxury living in Chatsworth and one of the finest examples of new construction homes in Los Angeles. And stay tuned because in this video, I'll also walk you through some of the incredible incentives that Toll Brothers is currently offering on their quick move-in homes. Scott Himmelstein with the Scott Himmelstein Group. So on today's luxury new construction home tour, we find ourselves back in Chatsworth, California at the Hidden Oaks community built by Toll Brothers. So then we're in Chatsworth. We're on the western portion of the San Fernando Valley, sandwiched in between the 118 freeway and the 101, and we are west of Topanga Canyon Boulevard, just to give you an idea. So this community has 33 home sites. 15 of them are sold so far, and we actually have one of them in escrow at the time of shooting this video as we speak. Right, so it's a great community. Larger homes start at about 4,200 square feet, go up above 5,000 square feet. Now, we featured the model home earlier this year, and a lot of you reached out to us about that. And it's a beautiful home. I mean, just beautifully appointed. You're talking large lots here as well. So that's something else that people really do like about this community. Now, the difference of what we're going to be showing you today, that's going to be the Sunstone Modern Home, and that's 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, 4,624 square feet of living space. And the difference here, as opposed to the model home, this is a quick move-in ready home. So the builders already spent almost $400,000 in upgrades, $390,000 to be exact. So they had $220,000 in structural upgrades, another $20,000 in electrical upgrades, and then $150,000 in designer appointed upgrades, basically for things inside the house, right? And so you can definitely see it for sure. And we're going to walk you through all of that in this video. And I think it's really a nice change of pace because this is probably more what your house is going to look like as opposed to the model house, unless you're spending a lot of money to make it look like the model home. So the beauty of this here is you don't have to wait 9 to 12 months to be able to have the home built, go through the whole process. You can move right in 30 days or less. All right, let's turn around and start this home tour. So looking at this home from the exterior, I wanted to point out that this community has a total of 4 different floor plans, and only 3 of them are currently available. The smallest floor plan they only had 2 of, and so that is no longer available. So this one is currently at 4,624 square feet of living space here on the Sunstone Modern. Now, the nice thing that it does come with this lovely driveway here, and you can see how they have the pavers right now on this driveway and the walkway up to your front porch. Now, this is a good time to also point out that this is how your home is going to come. So you're going to be responsible, and you'll have to submit plans to the architectural committee as part of the homeowners association, your plans of what you want to be able to do for this. So it's not going to come to you like the actual model home. And we're going to show you more of that in the backyard when we get there at that point. But I think it's really important to know because people get excited like, oh, wow, the model home looks great. And Toll Brothers might be the best when it comes to showcasing what you can possibly do when it comes to your front and backyard landscaping. But you could easily spend $500,000 to $700,000 depending on what you actually do to the front and rear of your house. All right, so now I wanted to show you the backyard, and just like the front yard, remember that there was no landscaping. This is exactly how your backyard is going to come to you. So take a look, take a gander, right? So you're not surprised. So, again, you're going to be responsible to have a contractor come out and be able to submit plans for you on your behalf to the Homeowners Association Architectural Committee. And then once those are approved, right, you will be able to move forward. Now, I'd say typically most homeowners association give you at least 6 months to be able to submit those plans. But you know, some of them tend to be a little more lenient just because they understand that moving into a large house, right, and the cost of being able to take care of all the landscaping, not only just the front, but as well the back, you know, that could be cost prohibitive. And, you know, a lot of times the homeowners association will work with you on that. But this is really important because, you know, a lot of times you see the backyards, and especially Toll Brothers, who does just basically a magnificent job of being able to showcase the possibilities. I even get excited when I go to the model homes for Toll Brothers just to be able to see what they're able to do. And sometimes they're really small spaces, but they're able to pack a lot in. But you can see your overlook deck from here. And then obviously, look, now you can really see the full picture of what your glass wall looks like over that great room. Now, one thing I did want to show you over here, right, is the block wall. And a lot of times, typically when it comes to new construction, you'll see basically they either put in a wrought iron fence all the way across the back, or they'll put in a plexiglass type of wall on the back if you happen to be on the view side in a community, right, to be able to maximize your view. But here I do like the block wall. It separates you from nature, right? And I think just gives you a little bit more privacy for sure. Now these lots are, you know, pretty good size. So I think that's something that a lot of people really do like. This is specifically equestrian zone, but I have a hard time imagining people are going to be able to put horses on these properties. But if it's something you wanted to do, you could definitely do it too. Now there are restrictions on how many horses you can have here, but it is zoned for equestrian living if it's something that you want. So now we are inside this Sunstone modern floor plan. So again, this is listed at $2,375,000, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, and it's 4,624 square feet of a living space. So we're going to take you through every nook and cranny in this house. We're going to talk about where a lot of the upgrades come from. Again, this home includes over $390,000 in designer appointed features. That includes structural, electrical, and design upgrades. And we're going to walk you through that. And if you've watched our previous video on what the model home looks like in this community, you'll definitely be able to see the differences. But one thing I like here is the fact that, you know, this is probably closer to what most people are going to end up with as the final product when they actually close escrow. All right, so we're downstairs, and as you enter in to this foyer, look at the massive soaring ceilings, and that's a really big feature that people always request for and pretty much require when it comes to new construction. So over to your right here, you're gonna have a coat closet over there, and then you're gonna have this downstairs bedroom, and it's a pretty good size. You could use it as an office or, you know, a guest suite downstairs, because you do have, look at this, you do have an attached bathroom. Now that's the standard quartz countertop that comes with the home. And take a look, you're going to see this tile and all the wet areas as well as the main common space as well. They did upgrade here the backsplash here in this shower enclosure. So this is the white backsplash, and then come on out over here, you actually have a walk-in closet as well. Now, unlike the model home, which has, you know, typically you'll see luxury vinyl plank or wood flooring throughout, here this is going to be the carpeting that you're going to get. So kind of like we talked about before, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. Sometimes people like to get it basic just with the tile and the carpet, right, that it comes with, and then other people like to have a lot of the designer appointed features that, you know, you can actually get from the design center. But here what's nice is, you know, they've already put in almost $400,000 worth of designer upgrades. So, you know, you could probably just move in if there's things that you want to do and change it later, you would be able to do just that. So this is your half bath downstairs. Let's see if the light turns on. There we go. All right, so this is your half bath, and this is what people are going to use, that you're entertaining your friends and family on your lower level. Now, I want you to take a look at this staircase. We're going to talk about more about this momentarily, but in the model home, they showcase that floating staircase. And with Toll Brothers, that typically ranges anywhere in that, $65,000, $70,000 range to almost $130,000, $140,000 at Metro Heights, right? But that's also, they have a extra level of flooring that you have to cover. So not everybody goes for that. And so in the model house, they feature that, but here they don't. And so this kind of gives you a really good idea. If you elect not to go for the floating staircase, this is what it's going to look like. Now, in this floor plan, this Sunstone modern floor plan, it's really all about this massive great room. And again, look how high the ceilings are, right? And it's all about being able to enjoy the vistas outside. And they actually have a bunch of structural upgrades in here as well. That includes the 78-inch electric fireplace here in this great room with the 84-inch mantle. So this mantle is included. Now, a lot of times, not just Toll Brothers, you're going to see on these walls right here above the fireplace, they'll have some type of decorative facing. A lot of times it might be like a sandstone or limestone, veneer around it going up, or they might have some type of tile going up also. That's not something that is available from most builders, so you'd have to have your contractor come in and actually do that. But this is a pretty good size upgrade. And again, this is the 78-inch electric fireplace at the great room right here. They have the expansive glass wall here in this great room with the 20x8 glass panel, the stacking door. So people really do love the stackable doors. Now, one of the things that I really like to talk with our new construction buyers about is, having your money spent on upgrades that you're going to actually get your money back for if you decide to sell the home in 10, 15 years down the line. And definitely one of them is always the stackable doors. You can never go wrong with that. So now that we've kind of left the living room over here, right? And I wanted to show you this. So look at this space over here. This is kind of, you could use it as your formal dining area, but this is really kind of like a flex space, right? They don't have a wall on it right now, but this is kind of your typical proverbial flex space. And then, if you could seal it off, again, make it a home office, a home gym, a play area. If you have small kids, keep your toys in one area. And then I like how in these large great rooms that you're able to basically delineate the space in between your kitchen and your living room just by having your formal dining table right here in the middle. And it's great because over to your right, again, you're going to have your living room, and then over to your left is the kitchen. So let's head on over to this kitchen. And this kitchen does have the upgraded waterfall edge island. They have an upgraded countertop. Now, if you've ever been to the design center with Toll Brothers, and I've been there multiple times, right? You can always basically upgrade the color as well as the size of your quartz countertop. So this is what this one looks like right here. It pairs nicely with the flooring. There's some light brown and gray in this flooring. It may not necessarily show up in the video, but in the veins itself on this island, and as well as the secondary portion of your kitchen over here, right? You are going to have that same countertop right here, again, quartz with the brown veins. I do like the ambient lighting underneath the cabinetry. And speaking of the cabinetry, this is an upgrade, is being able to have the cabinetry go all the way to the top of the ceiling. I can tell you on the resale side, when it comes to Toll Brothers homes here in Southern California, almost all the buyers ask for it. So I'd say it typically runs you between $15,000 to $20,000, depending on the floor plan and the community. So here, you do have the WOLF package when it comes to appliances included. So they have these induction right here, ovens and cooktops. And look at this, you have two of them right there. And then you turn around And then you have your Kohler stainless steel sink, you have your stainless steel dishwasher, and you have your built-in microwave, also WOLF, and your SubZero refrigerator built in. So that's all part of the upgraded package here in the kitchen, right? And another thing too is that you also have the flooring that's featured in this home is the upgraded 12 by 24 tile. So it's a larger tile piece here in this home as well. Now let's go back over here. I want to just kind of show you something. This is also an upgrade. Also is the fact that you have, look, you have this tile backsplash, and because the coloring on your flooring is pretty light, to be honest, you have your white cabinetry, you have your white quartz countertops, and yes, you do have some darker brown veins, but they're not, you know, the typical really dark veins that really stand out, and that becomes the focal point optically when you come into the kitchen. So instead, it's really important to have a backsplash. Now, a lot of people sometimes will run that same quartz countertop all the way up, but here they have a darker gray backsplash, and it kind of offsets the stainless steel appliance color by having this gray. So let me know what you think about that. Now, this will take you to your garage inside here, and then this cabinetry is all included, and this is great. This is essentially like a mud room. I probably put a bench in here myself. So this is something that I like. Now, I want to talk to you about something here that, you know, a lot of times it's great because you don't have to make decisions when it's a move-in ready home. You don't have to wait. That's probably the biggest benefit of being able to buy a move-in ready home. So this literally came up with one of our buyers at the design center not too long ago. And this is why I like to be present, you know, at the design center with our clients. And that's because they were talking about adding a beverage refrigerator that would be built in. Now, due to the electrical and putting that piece in, it has to be custom basically done. And it's usually cheaper for the builder to do it than if you were to have a contractor do it afterwards. So the reason I bring that up is I asked our clients, you know, hey guys, are you actually going to be able to use it? And what I mean by that is, do you have a lot of people coming over? Are you going to be entertaining? Do you have family coming over a lot? And they don't have kids right now either. So really, for them, it really didn't make sense to spend the money on it. And that was a $4,000 upgrade. And so, you know, this is one of the things where when you go to the design center, a lot of times, you know, sometimes it's something, all the stuff that you want to have on your wish list, put it down and then, you know, sleep on it, because you don't have to make a decision right away. You don't have to make a decision right there on the spot. They allow you to kind of be able to sleep on it for a couple of days before you actually have to pay the difference and basically an extra deposit. It would be the best way I could actually describe it. So in this case, for our sellers, you know what, it didn't make sense. And so that's $4,000 that they could use and spend on other upgrades throughout the home, right? And so it definitely all adds up. So when it comes to that, that's why I like to be there, to be able to kind of ask the questions like, hey, you know what, this is something, do you really need? Or hey, you know what, if we're thinking about resale 10 to 15 years down the line, you know what, buyers are really asking for these. These are things that features that buyers actually look for. So again, really each their own, but it's a conversation I like to be able to have with our clients to kind of be able to help guide them through the entire process. But again, here, remember, this is a move-in ready home, so there's nothing else left to do. All right, so let's come over here because I haven't showed you this room yet. So in the model home, you may recall, if you've watched that video, that they set it up here where they have built-in cabinetry, which you would be able to add. So now if you wanted to do that and basically set up like a media niche or like a little home office, you would have to have your contractor do that. And then this is your walk-in pantry. So pretty large size. Now, one thing I do want to point out is in the model home, a couple things. One, you have a clear door into that pantry. So Toll Brothers, not just here at Hidden Oaks, but throughout basically Southern California, and I would imagine nationwide, where they changed it where you can no longer have the 100% clear door right, leading into your pantry. Now it's only available as a frosted door. And when I asked them about that, they said basically that too many of the home buyers were complaining that they didn't like people to essentially look into their pantry, because I'm sure, you have a lot of items in the pantry and it doesn't look the cleanest when you look at it visually. All right, so let me know what you think of this downstairs space. Scott Himmelstein with the Scott Himmelstein Group. What do you think of this move-in ready home so far? Again, this is the Sunstone modern home here at the Hidden Oaks community in Chatsworth, California by Toll Brothers. And we currently have one in escrow right now that's closing in a few months. So I know all the ins and outs about this property. Well, what's great about this home is, again, you have essentially almost $400,000 in upgrades that have already been picked out by the builder when it comes to structural and design and electrical. So you really could just move in, and then if you decide you want to change things down the road, you can definitely do that. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Now, if you wanted to basically start from a dirt lot, you could do that for sure. They've sold 15 of the 33 home sites here in this master plan community, but just know that it's going to take 9 months to basically build it out, which isn't bad, because there are a lot of communities that taking right now closer to 10 to 12 months, not just 9 months. And so this is another reason why I really like to kind of meet with our new construction buyers, not just on the phone, but usually have a Zoom call, kind of find out what you need, what you're looking for, what your budget is, and kind of walk you through to kind of what to expect, because it's totally different than resale. The process is different for sure. And then, it can get really, especially confusing when it comes to, well, what electrical upgrade should I go for? And what should I pick out at the designer studio, right? And then, is everything correct when I do the walkthrough after the house has been framed and you have that electrical walkthrough? So these are all things that I really like to handhold my clients really through the entire process. So that way I'm available 24/7 to be able to answer all of your questions, and been able to help so many people like yourself that have been coming to us with questions about new construction here in Los Angeles, as well as across the country. And I can give you a pretty good idea of what to expect price-wise when it comes to upgrades and structural and design upgrades, how much that's going to cost you out of pocket. Now, one really good thing is that in addition to this already being a move-in ready home, Toll Brothers currently is actually offering an additional $75,000 in incentives, and you can use that money to be able to buy down the interest rate, use it towards the design center, just to name a few. You can't use it to reduce the price, but it's a great way to be able to use it towards your closing costs. But I'm finding right now a lot of our clients are being able to use it to basically essentially buy down the rate. All right, let's continue on with the home tour. All right, now we're going to make our way upstairs. And while we do that, some of the big questions that always come up, how much are the home association dues? Currently, they're at $325 per month. And obviously, the final amount will be determined at build out once they have enough reserves and everybody is paying into the homeowners association. When it comes to your estimated property taxes, it's at 1.265. That's 1.265% of the final sales price. So that's much better as opposed to if you go up to northern LA County, places like Valencia, Stevenson Ranch, or Castaic, right? A lot of those homes have a property tax rate that are closer to 1.8, 1.9. So that's something to keep in mind. Your schools, Chatsworth Park Elementary, you're going to have Ernest Lawrence Middle School, and Chatsworth Charter High School are going to be your schools. Now, this is the first bedroom upstairs. This comes with the standard quartz countertop, your standard tile, and again, this is the standard flooring that we've seen throughout the house. And again, this is all carpeted. Over to your right is going to have the laundry room. So it's perfect because the majority of your bedrooms are upstairs. And then you have the top cabinetry on both sides. And then of course you have the laundry sink also. Now, I don't see a lot of people upgrading from the standard quartz countertop that's available down here. What does happen sometimes is that if they have any leftover quartz countertop, maybe from downstairs in the kitchen, right, you might be able to utilize it up here on top, up here in this laundry room. And then over here is going to be your linen closet right here. And then over to your right, you have this large loft space. Now this is great because it's essentially an extra family room for you. So maybe you want to watch the big game upstairs, another area for the kids to play in. And this truly could be a home office if you wanted to do it. But again, there's so much flexibility and versatility in this floor plan on how you want to be able to set things up. Let's talk about solar. So because we are here in the state of California, builders are required to include a solar system as part of the house. Right now, that doesn't mean that it's free. So as always with any builder, depending on the size of the home, that's going to usually dictate what the actual cost is going to be. Here, that cost is going to be $20,000 approximately for you to be able to buy it out. And if you wanted to include a battery wall, that's another $13,500. What we do see sometimes for our client is they will take some of the money from the incentives that the builder gives and use that to buy out the solar system. So that's an option for you as well. All right, so let's come on over here and take a look at some of the other bedrooms also. Again, this is going to be the standard quartz countertop and tile backsplash, as well as the tile on the flooring. And then here you have your carpeting once again. So it kind of gives you an idea. And then this one does have a walk-in closet in here. And then over here, right, you're going to have one more bedroom on this side. All right, so let's go take a look at this bedroom also. Again, very similar size to the previous one we just looked at. So another question I get asked quite often is, what's the lot premium average? So the lot premium, obviously based on where the home site is located, right? That's going to determine if the builder is going to charge a premium for you to be able to buy that home site. So typically in this community, the average price for the lot premium is $190,000. That's just the average, which we're kind of seeing here in this community. So the nice thing about here is because this is a quick move-in home that's ready for you to be able to move in, so you don't have to pay a lot premium. So the price of the $2,375,000, that includes all of that all built in. So there's no other hidden charges for you. And you can move in, in this one within 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your financing or if you're paying all cash. All right, so now we've entered into the primary suite. You have your can lighting on top. This is a pretty large size primary bedroom. Of course, what people really like up here is being able to have the stackable doors, right, to go over to your overlook deck. And that's another upgrade also. So not every home is going to have the overlook deck. I really like it here because look at the end of your backyard over there. It's great because, being able to have the vistas of the rock formations here, I think is something that people are really going to be able to really enjoy, especially in the morning, and just come out and enjoy your morning coffee. And I think it really does make a difference for a lot of people. All right, so let's go into your primary bathroom. On the primary bathroom, they did upgrade the countertops here on both vanities, both on the right and the left. And this is the same quartz countertop that we saw downstairs in the kitchen. And that happens quite often, is whatever you use in the kitchen, a lot of times they will kind of continue that up here in your primary bedroom. You have your large soaking tub. Now here in this shower, they did upgrade here the tile in this shower enclosure. And then you have the nice large sitting bench, and you have the rain head shower head, which is an upgrade also in this shower enclosure of your primary bathroom. So again, gives you a much better idea of what it looks like. So now let's move over to the walk-in closet. Now in the model home, they have all these incredible and beautiful built-ins. If you were to get that option at the design studio from Toll Brothers, and you can do it, I'd usually say it kind of runs, depending on the floor plan and the community, runs anywhere from the high 30s to about $45,000. It's gorgeous and beautiful, but I don't think most people actually opt for it. Most people usually, can kind of have a company like Closet World or another specialist come in and do that for them. Most people would rather spend the money when it comes to that amount on other upgrades that they're going to be able to use on a daily basis. Maybe it's a nicer sink. You're going to be using your kitchen sink on a daily basis. So maybe it makes sense to go with a larger sink, pay $2,000 more, and as opposed to spending it in your walk-in closet. So anyways, that's everything that you have upstairs. Let me know what you think of this floor plan, and you can always reference, we'll put that tour in the description again, from the model home tour. You can kind of see a lot of the differences between here and then. So, but again, the difference here is you can move in right away and you don't have to worry about choosing more upgrades and design options. Scott Himmelstein with the Scott Himmelstein Group. All right, so one thing I do really want to point out here in this video is that it's really important that you have somebody representing you when it comes to new construction, right? A lot of times people just assume I don't need a real estate agent, right? I can just do it myself. And a lot of people do, but I will say that it's really beneficial because you have an extra set of eyes, not only looking at the documents, but walking you through the process. And I really do enjoy being able to handhold our clients through the entire process. And I've helped so many people like yourself. They come to me and they have an idea of what they're looking for. And I can kind of, before they even meet with the builder, kind of answer a lot of their questions and kind of like, hey, this is approximately what it's going to cost, especially based on the price that they've given you. These are the incentives. And we've done a great job lately, especially on the move-in ready homes. Not so much on the dirt lot, because there are only a certain amount of incentives that the builders are willing to go with, but especially when it comes to move-in ready homes, we're seeing incentives as high as $200,000 depending on the community, because builders want to move those. And a lot of times they're incentives that they don't necessarily advertise to the public. So every week I have builders reaching out to me, hey Scott, did you know about our, either a price change, or when it comes to more incentives and credits that the buyers are able to use. So this is something where being able to work with somebody who actually is in the know and has the relationship with the builder. Now, I don't work for the builder, I work for you. I get paid by the builder, so you don't have to pay me a cent out of pocket, but I also have the relationship with the builder. So that way, in case if there's an issue or you want me to go back to the builder and ask them a question, I can do so on your behalf. And a lot of times, we're very successful when it comes to that. So this is something that I think is really important, because especially in today's world, right? At $25,000, $50,000 at the very least, that makes a world of difference when you're buying new construction. And I think also just being familiarizing yourself with the process, because every builder is slightly different, right? Toll Brothers is going to be doing things definitely different than Pulte Homes or Lennar, and vice versa, right? So again, I have a relationship with a lot of them, and I could pretty much reach out to any of the builders if you have any questions. And sometimes people like yourself come up with some very specific questions that I haven't even heard of before, right? So I end up learning throughout the process with you. But we've helped so many people like yourself when it comes to new construction, and be honored to be able to help you and your family if you decide to go the new construction route. All right, any questions, let me know. Let me know what you think of this floor plan. I'm Scott Himmelstein with the Scott Himmelstein Group, and we'll see you on the next video.